Here we back. Now, today's video, we're going to be talking about decolonization, education, and mental reorientation. Now, we're going to be talking about Niger. Now, I seen some headlines in the news recently that caught my attention. Take a look up on the screen. Niger renames the historical places to sever ties with the French colonial past. Niger's military leaders have renamed the streets and monuments bearing French names in the latest move to cut links with the country's former colonial power. Most of our avenues and boulevards and streets bear names that are simply reminders of the suffering that our people endured during the ordeal of colonization. The avenue, which once bore the name of General Charles de Gaulle, is henceforth christened Djibo Bakary Avenue. Now, it may seem small, but these are big things because one thing that we fail to do as black people worldwide is give our ancestors the respect they deserve, right? That's one thing we fail to do on a consistent basis, is give the ancestors, give our predecessors the respect, honor, and veneration they are justly due for the sacrifices they made for us to be here today. And until we give them the honor and respect they deserve, we are never going to be able to establish a prosperous future. Now, let's continue. A few hundred meters further on, the memorial to those who died in the two world wars now pays homage to the civilian and military victims of colonization to the present day. Exactly. We got the blood of our ancestors crying out from the soil, begging to be avenged, and we just sitting there not paying attention to it. But anyway, let's continue. Other monuments across Niamey, that's the capital, will bear new names from Tuesday onwards. A portrait of a French commander and explorer, Parfait Louis Montet, engraved for decades in stone, was replaced by a plaque bearing the effigy of neighboring Burkina Faso's iconic leader Thomas Sankara. You see, I like that. That's Pan-Africanism in action, right? We're going to pay homage to our brother, Sankara, our neighbor Sankara. I like that. We're going to, demolish the plaque commemorating this cockroach over here. Like, why is this cockroach being commemorated in Africa? Like, bro, get this guy out of here. Burn that shit. You know what I'm saying? Burn that shit. Throw that shit in the Atlantic Ocean, man. Fuck this guy, right? But yeah, man, that's what it should be. It should be monuments paying homage to those who came before us, that paid the ultimate sacrifice for us to be here today. Why are we commemorating these cockroaches? Let's continue. From now on, we are going to honor our ancestors, said General Asuman Abdul Haruna, the capital region's governor and military government figure. Now, let's get into the main event, not wasting no time. Take a look up on the screen. Now, this article is written in French, but I'm going to translate it. It says, Niger wants to give its citizens a history that reflects its identity. Now, let's jump straight into the article. In Niger, the president, General Abdourahmane Chiani, signed a decree creating a committee responsible for rewriting the general history of the country, whose current version is largely inspired by colonial history. Now, time out. Now, on my channel, like I mentioned before, we spoke on various types of warfare, right? You got economic warfare, you got diplomatic warfare, you got physical warfare, right? And also, you have propaganda warfare as well. And I would say that education is a form of propaganda. And propaganda can be good or bad. There's good propaganda and there's negative propaganda. And when it comes to our enemies, one method of warfare they used was propaganda warfare, right? Imposing their languages, imposing their values, their customs, getting to the minds of the children at a very young age. So before they're even old enough to fight against you, they've already been defeated. They've already been destroyed. And that's the case for a lot of our people. Due to the fact that we received a colonial education, when it comes to Western education, a lot of our people have already been mentally defeated before they even realize what happened. And sometimes we sit back and we wonder, damn, how come certain leaders be selling out? How come certain leaders just be selling the country away? Man, listen, they were already defeated as children. And by the time they became a grown man, it was already game over, right? They were already fully loyal to the colonial system, right? They were fully indoctrinated into loyalty towards the colonial system. That's why you could look at certain people who were colonized by the British and you see they have a, very high opinion of the British. They have an admiration for the British. You see certain people who were colonized by the French, they have an admiration for the French, pour les Français. You know what I mean? They've really got a love and admiration for French society, French customs, French culture, right? Because as children, they were indoctrinated under those guidelines. And that's why the minds of the children are supposed to be protected to the highest degree. Now let's continue. In an effort to reappropriate its identity, Niger has embarked on a process of rewriting its history. This ambitious project, launched by the new authorities, aims to decolonize the historical narrative of the country and to highlight the Nigerian cultural heritage. To carry out this mission, a committee of experts has been set up, chaired by Professor Makorema Zakari, this committee brings together historians, archaeologists, and other specialists. Their goal is to produce a new version of Niger's history, a version that more faithfully reflects the experiences and the aspirations of the people. This project of rewriting history is not without challenges. This is a long-term work that requires significant resources and a mobilization of all civil society actors. It will also be necessary to ensure that this new story is based on rigorous research and that it is accepted by the entire population. By deciding to rewrite its history, Niger opens a new page in its history. This ambitious project will better understand the country's past and build a fair and more prosperous future. This is a long and complex process, but it is essential to strengthening national identity and social cohesion. Now, round of applause for them boys, man. I am envious. I am jealous, because in my country, the curriculum is garbage, And I believe that's a large reason why my nation of origin is in the shape that it's in, is because you have a nation of people who are very ignorant of who they are, who are very ignorant of their origins, who are fed a curriculum of garbage and lies and BS, and who do not give adequate respect and veneration and praise to their ancestors as they should. And you cannot build a prosperous nation with a population whose mentality is not properly oriented. And you can take a look at the Chinese, for example, on how they indoctrinate their children, because the Chinese, they got a 100-year plan for the next century, right? They're looking deep into the future, and they starting with the babies, right? So, Xi Jinping over here, he not playing no games. How long has Xi Jinping been in power? He been in power for the last 12 years, right? And he plotting for the next 100 years. And unlike the rest of y'all dumbasses, I don't look at the next black man as my competition. I don't look at the next black man as my competitor. I don't look at the next black man as my adversary. I'm trying to compete and perform on a global level, right? So, that little petty bullshit y'all be doing, going back and forth amongst each other, that's petty, primitive bullshit in my eyes, right? I'm trying to compete and perform amongst the best. And in order to do that, you have to examine what actions are they taking that is putting them on the road to prosperity. What is their game plan? What is their strategy? Right? Take a look up on the screen. Throughout China, as the school year starts on September 1st, all elementary and secondary school students face a new mandatory class. Xi Jinping's thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics for a new era. The new curriculum highlights how the Chinese Communist Party and Xi Jinping are focusing on ideological control of the population, as the course, referred to as Xi Thought, trickles down from Chinese universities where it was introduced in 2020. Propaganda and political instruction have been part of education in China since 1949, as the Communist Party understands exactly the power of shaping people's minds, especially when they are young and malleable. Now listen, in case you haven't been paying attention, the world is moving towards the right. The world is moving towards the conservative end of the spectrum. People are becoming more nationalistic. People are becoming more patriotic, right? So now as black people, it's not the time to be trying to hold hands with the world. It's not the time to be divesting. It's not the time to be buck dancing. Now is the time to be getting down to business. Now is the time to really be, coalescing with your people, because that is the climate that we are entering at this time. You saw about the Donald Trump election. You saw what time it is. Everybody is trying to, consolidate their position. Right? So, the black man got to be on the same type of time. The black woman got to be on the same type of time. The rest of y'all that want to hold hands and, buck dance, that's your business. But anyway, let's continue. According to the guidelines, the primary schools will focus on cultivating love for the country, the Chinese Communist Party, and socialism. So they will follow the party from a young age. In middle school, the class will showcase CCP accomplishments and help students understand the essence of Xi Thought. Now, the Chinese are an interesting case study because they went through their own, similar trials and tribulations in terms of colonization, right? But, they had their, little cultural revolution with, Mao Zedong and things like that. Now you got men like Xi Jinping, carry on that legacy. So as you can see, they started by getting their minds right first, right? They got their minds reoriented after the century of humiliation. And then after that, they went on their path to development and prosperity. And now they're focused on world domination. But before they could get to the economic development and the path to world domination, they had to get their minds right first. They had to get their minds reoriented first. They had to go through a period of decolonization. And they're still going through a period of decolonization. As you can see, Xi Jinping actively, tweaking the curriculum to make sure the population is properly in tune with the goals of the government. Take a look up on the screen. The Patriotic Education Campaign was a cultural campaign in China initiated in 1991 and carried out in full scale in 1994. In May 1995, the Chinese government issued the notice on recommending hundreds of patriotic education books to primary and middle schools across the country. And it made a list of 100 patriotic films, 100 patriotic songs, 100 patriotic books. The main goal of the campaign was to boost the nation's spirit, enhance cohesion, and foster national self-esteem and pride. Now, part of the reason why I started my YouTube channel is because I realized that the black man had to get his mind right. The black man had to get reoriented, right? Before the black man goes on the warpath, he has to, get his mind back right. And that's why I study our history. I examine our history. I analyze our history. I analyze our mistakes that we made and how we could do better in the future. Because really, the topics I talk about on my channel, they really should be in the educational curriculum somewhere, in accredited universities across the world. But unfortunately, it's not the case, right? And especially in a Western society. So we have to do the education ourselves. And as we can see, the channel is growing and it's expanding. But like I said before, everything starts in the mind. Everything starts with the children. Right? And like I said before, as the world becomes more hostile, as the climate becomes more hostile, we have to prepare the children, man. We got to prepare the babies for what's coming. And the first order of business is decolonization. Decolonize your mind. The Western historical narrative and the Western historical indoctrination is a poison for our people. If you do not have a patriotic population, your nation will always be vulnerable when it comes to exploitation, when it comes to outsiders making incursions against you. If you don't have a patriotic population, how are you going to be able to produce a patriotic leader? Because the leaders come from the population. And that's what men like Xi Jinping understand. That's why they place such a high emphasis on giving their children a specific type of education that produces a nationalist spirit, a patriotic spirit. But when you undergo a Western education as a black man, you're not going to be instilled with the desire for independence, for sovereignty, for world domination. They're not going to teach you that. No. They're going to teach you the opposite. They're going to turn you into a sellout, into a vassal, into a buck dancer, into a booty clapper. That's the reality, man. That's the reality. That's why it may seem small on the surface, but with Niger, destroying the colonial names, renaming the boulevards in the streets and rewriting the curriculum in the schools, this is a major move in the long term. Now, let's take a look at some of the reactions on social media. This person said, "You will never be independent if the colonist writes your history, because your children will learn to love colonization from a very young age. That is mental colonization." That's a fact. This person said, "This is an excellent step towards regaining your rightful place among nations. Informed and confident people build powerful nations." That's a fact. This person said, "We must focus on the colonial massacres to make the children understand that there is no colonial benefit." I agree. Not only to show respect and pay homage, but the children have to understand what their predecessors went through. They have to understand who their adversaries are. They have to understand who did what to their people. They have to be able to identify their adversaries, right? Because if you are ignorant of your history, then you are bound to repeat it again. But when you are well versed and aware of your history, then you are now able to operate with intelligence and discernment. And like I said before, the leaders come from the population. And when you have a population of well-informed, patriotic individuals, then you will have a leader that is well-informed and patriotic that will defend the sovereignty, dignity, and prosperity of his nation. Now let's continue. This person said, "If all of Africa could do it, the next generation would be conquerors, free of all complexes and ready to avenge our ancestors." Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. But yeah, man, I don't got too much to say. I ain't gonna be here too long, man. Support the channel, man. Support the channel. Cash App, PayPal in the description. It's your boy Never Card. That's a lane back in the Billy. Yes, indeed. Support the album, man. Support the channel. Peace.
No. Feel like I'm 75. Know that your team be full of them traders. You know that can never be mine. I'm grabbing a thought when I drive. I'm back in my zone and we on. She said that she ready to come be my wife. Yeah, hoping I don't do her wrong. I gave her my word and it's bond. I'm whipping the best like a lamb. I mean no chicken and lamb. Accustomed to call me the man. I never be up on the gram. I'm keeping that way undercover. She want me to tell her I love her. I told her I'm breaking the rules. I told her we making the news. Back in my city they loving me. Standing alone I'm 100 deep. Enemy plotting and still in reach. They try to make sure that we underneath. Trying to make sure that we never make it. Coming for power, come get acquainted. Coming for everything that I wanted. Feeling like Drake but I really wrote it. Feeling like Kendrick, I'm checking names. Gotta roll up while I go insane. Got so much stress, I been gated away. Stuffing these racks in this Louis case. One thing for certain, I'm about to check. Keep it 100 and nothing less. Stick with the family since day one. Had to stay down till my day come. Had never patient. Hop on the mic and I'm motivated. Hop on the mic and I drop a classic. Haters can't see me, they copping glasses. Back in the studio making magic. Got a new tape and it's in production. Back on my business, I got a budget. Staying low key when I'm out in public. Feel like I'm 75. Know that your team be full of them traders, you know that can never be mine. I'm grabbing a thought when I drive. I'm back in my zone and we on. She said that she ready to come be my wifey and hoping I don't do her wrong. I gave her my word in this bond. I'm whipping the best like a lamb. I mean no chicken and lamb. Accustomed to call me the man. I never be up on the gram. I'm keeping that way undercover. She want me to tell her I love her. I told her I'm breaking the rules. I told her we making the news.